Nice to see everyone. Nice to meet you. I know Brooke. Brooke, you're muted, so you know. So I'm Jennifer Shaheen. I am the founder and president of Technology Therapy Group. We are a full service strategic digital marketing agency and development company. We do everything from websites to digital advertising. And we also started helping our stores understand how to implement AI. And we actually have an AI program. Today, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through a mix of things, but just really quick, just for my own knowledge. How many of you that are here, and I can only see so many, so feel free to put your hands up on the Zoom, but how many of you are using, one of the AI tools out there right now, either a Chat GPT or a Claude? Okay. All right, great, wonderful. Okay, I got three. Perfect. Okay. So it gives me an idea. And then if you are using them, are you on the free versions or the paid versions? So just helpful to me.
Paid.
Paid,
Paid.
Free.
free, and paid. Okay, great. And I'm going to talk about, all things, but we can bounce back and forth between free versions and paid versions because I did set up free accounts underneath a different email address so we can look at things that way. So basically, can everybody see my screen okay? Excellent. Thank you. And I have three monitors because I'm just a geek. So I have you all on my monitor to my right, and then so I can pull things in and out of the screen for us. Okay. Um, and I don't have chat open, so feel free just to interrupt me if you need to.
I can out monitor the chat.
Oh, great. Okay. So, right now, what I wanted to do is just cover where AI is right now. I want to talk a little bit about deciding what tools are right for you. We're going to talk about how to use content. We're going to do some content analysis. So, I specifically asked to come after your marketing session and after your social media session. I did see what Jen covered with you. I saw what the visual covered for social media. So I have pulled in a couple of things that will support that. We're also going to talk about enhancing product descriptions. This is really important for me because it's one of the big drivers for selling better online. We're going to talk about how to use, ChatGPT or another AI tools for social media. We're going to talk about leveraging AI for just content design, and I have a particular example that I've got from a client. So what I want to give everybody an idea of right now is the next wave of AI is actually already here. It has essentially arrived in the three levels of AI that we're seeing, where traditional AI was what most people didn't even realize you were using AI. It's just rule-based automation. If you ever set up any automations in your business, that's what traditional AI was. And there's still uses of that today, but it does not have any autonomy in itself, meaning it does exactly what the rules tell it to do. Things that it's used for is oftentimes for like fraud detection or maybe predictive maintenance. Some of this is on image analysis. Generative AI really came out and has blown up a lot in general over the last couple of years. It did exist before 2023, but it really just took hold in 2023. And generative is just what it sounds like. It's generating content generation. It is moderate in the sense of autonomy, but it cannot do anything without prompting. So that's important to understand. And again, its goals are sometimes data-driven patterns. So in case you're wondering how generative AI works, it's just a series of tokens, which sounds weird, but it's just an assumption that I'm going to say the next word naturally. And that's why if you put something into AI that relates to like history, it often fills the sentence out in that certain way really quickly because it's really just, again, predicting what's going to come next based on what it's learned. A lot of this comes into use in marketing and copywriting, personalized recommendations. You'll notice for yourselves nowadays online. You might even be seeing more of that. And then it helps a lot with code generation and software prototyping. So this is what we're going to focus on today. But I do want you to also know where things are going. So agentic AI is probably the thing you've been hearing most about. And who knows, maybe next year I'll be able to do some training on agentic AI. But this is basically where the AI actually has autonomy. And where we're seeing this a lot unravel is in healthcare and customer service, where it knows from what it's been taught what comes next. So it will no longer need the prompt to execute the next action. And so, like for myself inside my personal chat GPT, I've actually set up an agent that sends me an email twice a day. I have a morning affirmation that I get, and then at the end of the day, I get a collection of all the news related to artificial intelligence that has to do with luxury and fashion and the jewelry industry. So that is something that it does without my prompting. It's just going off and doing it. And so we're going to see more and more of that. And you're probably even starting to see tools like this pop up in your chat systems. So this is just kind of a quick like breakdown of how we can really use this tool and where we can use it. So building your brand voice, competitive analysis, training web chats, documentations, customer review and replies, content reviews, just understanding, and creating. One of my clients asked me the other day, they said, we want to change our on hold voice, what should we use? And I was like, well, have you looked at 11 Labs? Because you can go in there and give it the script and you can set the cadence of the voice and everything, and it can record it. It's also one of the things I bring up on every jewelry training so that you remember that your store should have a safe word. Because if you are someone who speaks out openly in your store, or people hear your voice, or you're on social media, remember that you can be as cloned as these other services. So I do bring this up a lot with my jewelers just to make sure that you all have a safe word. If someone calls the store and pretends to be you, and it has happened, it is starting to grow. We've seen this more happening overseas, but then the person asks for something unreasonable. So just make sure that your staff is trained to know to ask for the safe word. Sadly enough, this has been happening to kids with parents calling them and asking for money, and the kids actually automatically send it because they're worried about their parents. So the last one that I also want to take a moment about is contract reviews. It doesn't mean that you don't necessarily need a lawyer, but definitely can be very cost effective for you to take a contract, an advertising contract, anything, even your own, like work for hire agreements or design agreements, or if you're working on a licensing agreement, just to understand that you can take this and ask. And I'm going to show you proper prompting today. So just want to give you all an idea of like where that's at. So the top generative tools are ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude, and Perplexity. One of the questions that I often get asked is, do you need more than one? I personally, because of the geek that I am, I do use ChatGPT daily. I use Claude daily. I use Perplexity daily. ChatGPT and Claude are similar. They're both used for content creation. Claude is better at doing code generation. Perplexity, which is interesting, has really turned into the go-to for search. So if you're trying to do research, you'll find that a lot of people are using Perplexity. I did a talk at JCK about how more and more customers are using now. ChatGPT launched, I don't know if anyone saw it, but in May, they actually started showing in ChatGPT when you search for something web-based, it is now showing products. And so it's a really big deal because your website and your business now needs to be found inside of these generative engines as well. So Gemini is owned by Google and Copilot is by Microsoft. If you have a Microsoft 365 license, you automatically get this by default. And Gemini does have a paid version as well. I think the one that I would say I've seen most people using is ChatGPT, probably just because it got notoriety first. But there are definitely reasons why I choose to use Claude. I find the content writing, even with the same level of prompting, I get much better outcomes from Claude. Um, I asked earlier, and some people have logged on a little later, but my recommendation is at the end of this, if you are not using a paid version, that you do transition. There are serious limitations to the free versions. There are usage caps. You don't get access to all the models. You don't have the same deliverability of the speed. And then, just in general, you can't upload a file in ChatGPT if you don't have the paid version. So these are just some of those general things that you want to look for, and why at the end of this, if you haven't gone into the paid version of the one you've chosen, I would definitely recommend that you're doing that. Um, the next thing I want to make sure that you're doing is, no matter what system you're using, you are configuring the information. So I'm going to actually move us into um, actually working on AI. And so um, you guys will see my this is the paid version, and then um, this is the free version. So when you come over here, if you have the free version, you'll see there's ability to customize ChatGPT. In here, it's a really great idea to put what you want the AI to call you. It is designed to have and retain knowledge now. For those of you who started on AI a while ago, it did not retain knowledge from conversation to conversation. Now it does. So that's important to remember. You want to put information in here about what you do, and you want to talk about the traits that you want it to have. So I'm a business owner like all of you. I feel very isolated at the top. So sometimes you can use the traits here. It could be, do you want them to be more empathetic and coaching? Do you want them to be, direct and blunt and to the point with you? So that's literally what you want to do here, and be very specific about like how you want to be treated, so that you really use this tool to support you on an ongoing basis. You can also put other things that you may want it to know about you, so you don't have to keep adding it into your prompts, and that's important. Do keep in mind everything that you put into an AI is going to be used for their training purposes. The other thing that you'll see here is that the ChatGPT capabilities that are available in the free version are the web search, the code, the canvas, and now you've got the advanced voice mode. So this is your, just again, your free version. And then this is our paid version. So you'll notice with the paid version, we have more models here, and the ability to do projects. I bring that up because I'm not going to get into everything today. I could probably do a whole day on just how to use AI, very specifically. But what I do like about projects is, you can see over here on the left side, I have a project for each of my clients. I also have a project for certain things that I'm doing. So we're trying to do product development here, because I know with AI, I'm going to be out of business in 5 years if, people don't just hire us for our knowledge, they're hiring for all sorts of things. So I keep that in mind. So I'm working on productizing. So I bring that up because this is a way in a paid version for you to organize. So one of the things I recommend for a store is you would have one very specific around your custom design work, maybe things that you want to put into here for questions that you might ask, ways that you might work on things. You might have your own project for your team to use for marketing. So they'll know the standards, and we're going to talk about doing some of that today. So you can literally make different projects for different things. ChatGPT offers this. Claude has the same thing. So Claude also has projects in here as well. And then just for those of you who are not familiar, Perplexity on the paid level has something called Spaces, and it does the same thing. So just to give you some ideas of, the differences between the three of them. I don't use Copilot enough to be able to tell you because I kind of had to commit to a couple, and these are the three I've committed to. But definitely feel like if you have questions after, I'm more than available to answer them. Okay, so this was just a reminder of how to do this in case you want to look for it after. Um, so basically, AI really relies on what's known as prompt engineering. And this is just a definitive definition of like what is prompt engineering. And I think the words that are most important to think about is talking about things carefully crafting prompts and how to get what you want out of it in an accurate, relevant, and creative way. I will say, you have to remember, and it does help that you're an expert at something because, ChatGPT still does have hallucinations in it. Perplexity does a much better job of certain things because it's literally using resources off the web. And one of the things that I love about Perplexity is that you can actually choose the models that you want it to use, but you can also ask it to search web versus academic versus social. And actually, now they have even SEC filings on here. So you can choose that. But if you've ever used Perplexity, one of the things you'll find that it does is that it will, hang on, let me see here. Um, Okay, so this is me showing you one of the research I was doing because I'm trying to work on my retail tips. So I was asking like what are unmet needs and pain points do, growing independent retail business owners want? And then what it's doing, it's going to always give you references to other sources. And then one of the things that I always do is I go and look at our source, especially when I'm pulling a statistic out, or if you're doing research for a business plan that you might be, let's say you're getting more money from the bank. When I do training around that, I always tell people make sure you go to the article and read the whole context because remember, it's just pulling out an excerpt and it might be taking it out of context. Um, but now you can do, this idea that you can use these tools to get more relevant information. So I kind of side trailed on that just to mention the hallucinations are still something that happen. So I'm sure if you've been using AI and you've been prompting, I always tell people you have to think of it like a genie. Um, when you ask a genie a question, like, I want a 5 carat diamond, you might get the rough diamond. You might have had other things happen. It's just not you're not going to get great outputs when you get something so broad. Whereas if you ask for something more specific, I want, this particular size, I want it to be loose, I want it to have a certain cut, clarity. And I wanted to make sure that it follows all of these, you know, ethical issues, you're going to get a better outcome. Um, so when you think about like how to put things together, you want to think about like what that looks like. And I'm going to give you guys some examples of proper prompting. So before we get into that, I do want to remind everyone that, you don't want to add the information in. I've talked about that. Good prompts are clear. The more precise, the better your outcome. Results should not be reused without review and edits by a human. And then prompts can be used to do any myriad of different things. One of the things that came up at JCK, which was really fundamental, is if you're training your sales staff, you could use this to role play. And I thought that was such a smart way to do this. I actually do talk to ChatGPT. I use the voice mode. I changed her voice to be, I think it's New Zealand, and we have conversations back and forth. And in case you're not familiar with that, it will sometimes, not all the time, so this voice mode will sometimes save the chats and sometimes it doesn't. So I will also run my otter in the background to make sure I don't lose track of anything because it's a little wonky because it is still one of their newer tools. Okay, so this is what I pretty much see most people doing as a prompt. So from this point on in the presentation, we're really going to go into and just work in the tools, but I want to talk through how you get the most out of the AI. So you want to put a prompt together in a particular way. So this is what a lot of people do naturally. Task, list 5 sales techniques, and then you give it context for an in-store, jeweler retailer. Okay. Or you want to think about it like a more focused prompt. So the task, the context, the role, and the requirement. You will get a much better outcome with a focused prompt. So example here would be you're an expert in store, so specifically in-store, jewelry sales. So there's my role. And then the task, outline a list of sales techniques. And then what's the context to train our newly hired sales staff? And then what are my requirements? Include in this information a welcome, a customer include a welcoming a customer, conversational sales transition techniques, and how to ask for the sale. So just, I can see you guys. Is this something that you might want to do with your team if you're doing some sales training? So we can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to hit escape so I can actually copy and paste so you don't ever have to watch me write. We're going to do the free one and then we'll do the paid one. So just a real example. So here we are. And you can see already that it's going into and starting to give you this information. I will come over here and I'm going to do the same thing in the paid version. Because I get this question a lot, will you get the exact same outcomes? And you can see they're starting very similarly, the jewelry sales techniques, training outline, welcoming the customer. So you can see I'm putting the exact same, but it's interesting to already start to see just little subtlety differences. There we go. Welcoming the customer, greet with intention. Here, the greeting, first impression matters. So you'll get a lot of same things, but you can see already that's not identically the same. And I bring this up because I know this is a question that a lot of people worry about. Like if I ask AI for something and a competitor is doing the same thing, oftentimes you're not one going to ask things exactly the same way, but you can already see the difference, subtle differences between these. And if at the end, I'm going to send the slides through so you all have them so you can copy and paste as well. But you can see, just the little bits of information that it's pulling out here for you. Transition to a sale conversation, et cetera, et cetera. So now, back here. All right. And the next prompt style I want to show you is what is called no, we did that one already. This one. Okay. So this is what is called a comprehensive prompt. You will get the most out of this. So, like, realistically, are you going to do a focused or comprehensive prompt for everything? Probably not. You don't often have time, but when you're digging deep and you're trying to make documentation or doing lots of things, this is really where the comprehensive and the focused prompts come in handy. And we're going to use a lot of those today. So here's another example. So I use the same one. But this time, what I asked it to do is I said, avoid tactics that are high pressure and insincere. So I gave it a particular boundary. And then here I asked it to explain each tactic for each part of the conversation and why it aligns with connecting with an in-store customer. Now, you guys can do this for in-store, but you could also take all this conversation and do the same thing for online chat. So if your team struggles with like how to answer things or being fun and personable, you could take this whole thing and flip it upside down and say, I want to do this for chats. And one of the things, again, same thing here, you can use that boundary element. So these are just, again, more detailed. So this one, which is the basic, the focused, and then we've got our comprehensive. So I'm going to take a pause for a moment, just to sip on my water for a second and just see, um, has anyone done a basic prompt? We'll start with that. Everybody done a basic prompt now that you've seen them? All right. What about a focused prompt? Have you been doing focused prompts? Not a very chatty group we have.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted us off mute, but I've done a prompt before, but I didn't realize as I was asking the questions and it was giving me responses, I'm like, okay, I got to give you more information to really narrow down what I want.
Yep. Love that. Thank you. Brooke, we don't hear you. We see you talking. You're trying.
Oh, you don't hear me? Okay, shoot.
Here we
Hang
There
on.
you are.
Sorry.
you know.
What were you saying, dear?
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. Sorry. I switched to my headphones and I was having trouble getting them connected. Um, I have definitely done all of these types of prompts, but I would have never been able to identify them. I have done it from learning from ChatGPT by it not giving me, the responses that I was looking for. And so then I've been like, okay, let's tailor this and figure out what kind of, boundaries and requirements I need to give it.
Yeah. And these are not the only, these are what I recommend. There are, you can actually, so if anyone's done anything on like copywriting, in the copywriting world, there's a whole bunch of copywriting formulas. There's the and, but, therefore, which is a very common copywriting. So you could always ask the AI what type of formulas work best for certain things. And you absolutely can do that. And that's the whole goal of this tool, is for you to use it. So what I thought we would do is kind of build on top of all of the stuff that you've been learning. Very specifically on Jennifer's session, you talked about brand. So one of the things that I teach, so you're getting this right out of this is a homework assignment. You really want to think about this. And if somebody would like, we can use your store as an example to start. But one of the things that I recommend that you do is you can use this to analyze your own brand or other brands. And I use this for competitive analysis. So what you want to do is pull content from 2 or 3 pages from your company website. Very specifically, I always recommend that you use your about page, because usually that's where you're putting your mission and your value elements. And then take that information, so copy that content, and then you can go into ChatGPT and create this particularly focused prompt. So I'm going to provide the whole prompt. You are an expert at brand and messaging for the retail jewelry industry. So we've given it a role. Explain and outline the brand's tone, messaging, and personality, because it's always harder for us to do ourselves. And then the context, so to help create a brand standards document for our company, and then the requirements. Include details about our mission, vision, and values, and point out areas that need to be improved for our brand standards. So this is a really great way for you to start to look at something like this. Does anyone want to volunteer? I have to keep an eye on time, I know.
I would love to volunteer.
Sure. Let's pull your
And
website
then, yeah,
up if you're okay with that, right? Let's see.
yeah, let's get it. Because I do want to ask you a question about
Please.
and this could be towards the end when we go into this, but I really want to see if I can use chat to redo the text font on my website. But let's just look at the website. So because I know we're short on time. So
What's
it's
your website?
I am JEVELA.com.
All right. Love it. Okay, so we're going to go to your about page, and we're going to, and why I do this, by the way, is because this is already out in the universe. So there's nothing proprietary about this. So it's great. And so I'm going to copy this, and just to make our lives easier, I do have a Word document open. So I'm going to just use my little Word document over here to the side, and then just make sure. Okay, so that's all there was. I wasn't sure if we had more. And so we're going to come back here and Do you have the paid or the free version?
Let's do the paid because I do have the free.
Okay, let's do the paid. You got
Let's see.
Okay, so always starting a new chat. And by the way, because I have the paid version, I can share this with you when we're done, so you don't lose it. So here we are. So we're gonna take that particular prompt and we're gonna put the prompt in, and then here's the content. And now this is the one thing I didn't do. So you do content to review. So you just want to tell it what you're doing. And then I'm going to come back over here and grab all my copy. And here we go. So you will see, now it knows me. So obviously it's going to say to me, thank you, Jennifer. So now here we go. So it's starting to write out all your brand standards, your mission. Now, if you're reading this mission and it's not what you were trying to get across, it becomes a great, so that's where I would say this is a good time for you to go back and ask it, oh, well, I wanted my brand to come across X way, but you're telling me it's coming across Y way. What do I need to do to change it? Right. So, and because I'm already in the chat where I've told it to be an expert, you should not have to add the role again. So now you can start to be a bit more conversational with it. Make sense? Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to go ahead and hit share, and I'm going to create that link for everyone. And oh, the chat's disabled. Okay. I'll send it through after when I send my slides. So you all can see that if you're okay with that. Are you okay with that? Okay. I'm like, it is yours. So, all right. Wonderful. Okay. So let's go back and let's get back into our PowerPoint a little bit, just because my goal today for all of you is that you literally have all these tasks to do when you, so we've done that one. So let's look at this one. Now, the next exercise would be for you to have done that same thing with a competitor, okay? And what you want to do after that is take your content and the competitors, and you could do this all in the same chat, and then ask this more precise question. So you're an expert at brand and messaging. We've already done that, right? Compare my company. So you would have added your company name in here, and then whatever company you want to compare yourself to. Now, if you have a document to upload, you could just say in my document, my company's X, and compare the competitors, and you might have 3 or 4. So that is okay. The AI is smart enough to handle that. I'm just doing it for the simple purposes of doing X versus Y. Help identify our strengths, weaknesses, audience focus for creating our marketing strategy. And then here you would do something, display it. So by you telling it what you want it to look like, it will then create the document for you in a side-by-side mode. And that makes it so you can go apples to apples to apples to apples. If you do not tell the AI how to give you back information, it sometimes will just do a bulleted list. So as you saw, I didn't tell it in any of the ways that I said. I never said put it in a table. By default, it does like to put things into lists. Okay. All of these prompts will work in Claude, they work in Perplexity, they work in Copilot. Everything that you're doing here, you can use on any of the AI tools. And if you're trying to figure out, especially free versions, definitely check them against each other for their outcomes. Okay. All right. So basically, the whole reason I wanted to do this is just to help build on top of. So this is going to help you plan your marketing. It's going to identify what makes you different, and it will outline your areas for improvement. So next we have product descriptions. So let me see a show of hands. How many people like writing product descriptions? So humor here, but of course, no one writes very detailed product descriptions. As a matter of fact, it's a pretty uncommon thing that I see. The stores that do best online have really great product descriptions. So, what I want you to know is just in general what customers prefer. So, why I use this as an example is because if you think about what makes a good product description, you can also then use this as a great prompt for yourself. So when you're thinking about writing your content for your products, you don't have to keep doing this over and over. And this is again why you want to consider a paid version. So there's two things to understand here is one, this is a great use of projects because you could just do the same conversation or chat, but this is where you can literally lay out exactly the details that you're looking for from your product. And this is, again, just a bit of a guide, and you can create your own version of this. But the way I've done it is ask ChatGPT to write a product description based on information. So this is one of the websites I'm sure I grabbed this off of. Looks like a pretty generic, product description that we see on most websites. A couple of things to think about is let's do the basic, and I just want you to see what this will look like. And actually, this time, let's use Claude so you guys can see what Claude looks like. Okay, so this is the free version of Claude, but we'll start with something super simple. Um, so I didn't give it, notice I'm not giving anything. I'm not giving it any properly prompting. I'm just giving you examples of write a product description based on the information. And I haven't given it any guidance. Okay, here's the disk. I do want to point out a couple of things for those of you who are not familiar with Claude. So first off, you can see here the styles. I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but Claude does have styles. You can also make your own style. So one of the things I would encourage you to do, even with the free version, is once you've done your brand analysis, ask it to create your style and then use that when you're making it. Okay, so just a little note on that. So I'm just going to use the default normal style. I haven't asked it to do anything special. And so here we go, basic. Wrote a lot of information off of this one line, didn't it? So for me, the things that, first off, for search engine optimization purposes, lengthy product descriptions are really great. I would always recommend you break them up and do shorter ones at the top and longer ones below, especially nowadays, because they are getting indexed in the generative engines. And so I do think that's important. But the second part of this is, you want to control certain things in a product description. So the length, the detail, the tone, the personality. So again, this is for you all. When you go back. Alrighty, where did you go? I stopped sharing my screen and there we are. Okay, so this is what I want you to think about is the exercise we did first, I do that intentionally. So you've already defined your brand. And so what do you value or offer that you want your customers to know on that product detail page? So think about that. Use the guide that I gave you earlier. Product details. Also, be realistic about what you want for product description length. And then style. So I made you this little table, and this is kind of an example. So what I would recommend is you kind of use a table, and I have a clean one here for you to look at. So you would put your personality in, you would put your customer persona in. So who are you trying to target? Who are you trying to talk to? I know Jennifer spent a lot of time on your brand, but apologies. Did she talk about customer personas? A little bit. Okay. So it is important that we know who we're talking to because your brand and business can't appeal to everybody. I say this all the time. We're not the perfect fit for everyone out there. The things that you value, the length, the style that you're looking for. So example, paragraph with bullets. And so here's just an example of getting you started with like what that more precise prompt might look like. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and hit escape and I'm going to use this as that same prompt. And in this case, I'm just going to say to a customer persona, self purchasing woman, over 35. Okay. Obviously, with your persona, you'd want to add more. And in case you guys are wondering, I have Grammarly running, which is also an AI tool. I do that because I'm a terrible speller and I'm awful at grammar. And I will tell you, I get better outcomes when Grammarly fix things because AI likes proper sentence structure, believe it or not. All right, so here we go. So this is now, again, we're on the free version, but now I've revised what I asked it the first time. And if you can see, again, on the free version, this is taking a little longer. And over here on our paid version, I'm going to take that and drop that in here. Let's just see if Claude is just busy right now. So see, this is the free one. And there's my paid version. So the paid version is going faster because obviously I pay for it. But you can see now they're telling you they're happy to, and they're actually asking me some questions back, right? So once I know your target persona, and that's because I copied and pasted without that. So let me go get you my proper one and copy that in. And there we go. Now, this is something that Claude does. It will put things in a secondary view. ChatGPT does this as well if you do in canvas mode. By default, Claude automatically has a canvas mode. So I just want to make sure you all are familiar with that. But that's a pretty good short description. One note I always tell everyone nowadays that's using, I love hyphens. AI kind of killed my use of hyphens because now anytime there's an M dash of some sort, everyone just assumes it's written by ChatGPT. So after you've reviewed it, if it looks the way you want, please replace your M dashes with commas so that it doesn't look like AI has given, the writing for you. So just a little insider tip. All right. Next item. Okay, so this is for you all, and this is your just clean version so that you can print it out and think, what do I want to put in here so you can set up your prompt. I added the avoid words because I've worked with a lot of retailers or brands that have no words. So if there are particular words, so I got to work with Jacob and Company years ago in New York City, and when I, used the word bling, they were like, "Oh no, we don't use bling." I'm like, "Okay." So I love to know that because I put my no words in here. So avoid certain words. So if you're tired of seeing everything say the word sparkle, then make sure it does not say the word sparkle. So think of what makes sense for your business and your brand. All right, so you had social media, and there was some really great stuff going on in there. So I just want to remind us all the ways that we can use ChatGPT or AI just in general. So you can use these tools to create your social media campaigns. You can use it to generate the content calendars. You can write captions for social posts. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. Just so much information that we can use AI for this. Find popular influencers, product promotion ideas, coming up with viral social media ideas. There's so much we can do with that. So, in light of the fact that when I was watching the video, I didn't watch all of it, but I did see that she focused on getting you into a content calendar. So, best way to start here is to outline what your brand or your store's goals are and the points of focus or products that you're thinking about. Outline your upcoming promotion and or events that you might have. And then you can start with a basic or a focused prompt. So, you're an expert social media manager, outline a social media calendar for my jewelry store for the months of September and October. I figured we'd think a little bit about the fall coming up. We want to focus on promoting engagement rings, anniversary bands, gift ideas, custom for the holiday. What image and videos should be created and how often should we post on Facebook and Instagram? Or you could do something even more like this. Here, you again want to give them the role, but outline a social media calendar for a jewelry store. Notice I left out that context of when. The calendar should be designed for an overall strategy and then, with specific breakdowns for each platform, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and explain. So I always ask it to explain back. So we can get a chance to go see this one in action. So grab this for you. Now, again, I left out the length of time. So they're telling you they started it with a 30-day strategy. You can see how they're laying this information out, and they're literally creating a sample calendar for you. Has anyone tried something like this at all? Okay. And then here, as you go down, you'll see. But I mean, what it can be really helpful to do, you can see how much information it's giving you and ideas. So next, you can also have it write your social captions. So I think it's important that you understand what the social platforms want now. So you want to ask the length, the number of hashtags. So let's go ahead and do that. And this time, let's use, I want to use a free version so you all can see. But we haven't done Perplexity yet. So let's do Perplexity. So outline. Mm. And I misspelled outline. So why I picked Perplexity in this time was because I wanted to know where it was going to reference the information. We can do the exact same thing in ChatGPT and Claude because everybody searches the web now. So you can see here, the caption lengths, ideal caption lengths are between 138 to 150. While you can use up to this amount, concise captions tend to perform better for engagement and readability. You can see Instagram allows up to this, but you can see now the sweet spot for that is between 5 and 11. And then you can actually look and see. So here's one of the things I didn't do. I did say outline best practices for Reels, but I could have done something like add in post, 2024 or for 2025. So, and the reason I'm bringing that up is because if you've not seen this, here's all those sources, and you will want to know like how far back did they go for this kind of content. So if I open this, and it always opens in another tab, but this one's great. This one came out for 2025. This one you can see was April 2025, but I have seen very often that it might be looking at things from previous months. So that's one of the reasons why I really do love the idea of, using Perplexity for something like this. It pulls out that information. ChatGPT will do the same thing. So, we could take the same item there and get that information pulled out as well. Okay. Now, another thing that I think is pretty interesting is that you can obviously use the AI. So, has anybody used AI for creating any imagery? Okay. So I took this image that I found and I told it to generate an image because I know this happens a lot. Customers will come in and they'll show you a picture of something they want, um, and it will ask you, you can kind of generate different versions. So with social media, you can do the same thing. You could upload a picture and ask it to describe it and then create the post off of that. And you can also use this to put in let's say the visual or image. So remember, you can do text to image or image with the prompt. So I think a lot of people are probably familiar with text to image. One thing I will say with text to image, your knowledge will get you much better outcomes. So because you know shapes, um, you know, different angles, metals, cuts, you're going to get a way better outcome with your expertise as a jeweler and designer than I will. I get a much better outcome with marketing because that's what I went to school for and it's what I know. So, keep in mind that you want to do all of those things. So this is the prompt that I put in, and then that's the outcome that it did. If you notice, not only did it remake the ring, but it also remade the background, which is pretty interesting. So there's the before and there's the after. Now, I've been letting clients know, and I actually, if you haven't, ChatGPT's new version of image creation that was updated in May, it is so much better than it was a year ago. Actually, so much better than 4 months ago. So, I mean, the precision on it is really, really great. So, just something for you all to think about. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on time. I have till 1:30, right? I have 6 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so two more things. Has anyone played with Sora yet? Okay, Sora is part of ChatGPT. And if you're doing the paid version, this is one of their very cool tools. What it does is it allows you to do video creation, but you should be storytelling. And so literally they actually have what's called a storytelling mode. And the reason I do this ahead of time is just because, as you've noticed, sometimes the AI can be a little slow during a live presentation. But if you want to think about something that you want to tell a story about, now one thing I want you to know is for privacy protections, there often does not include people as much as they used to. So, and you cannot upload to protect people's privacy as well. So, but around your creating things around jewelry, you can have a lot of fun with it. So this was a video that I took, but this was one of the ones that I made by telling the story. I wanted a pink sapphire, in the middle of a flower opening up and, showing. So if you're a very artistic person and you want to tell the story, you tell the story and then you can edit it. So literally at each spot in the storyboard, you can control what it's doing at every moment. It's one of the things that obviously makes Hollywood a little crazy because, I mean, this kind of work would have taken a long time to do with artificial intelligence beforehand, but also the realism of certain things. Now, you all may notice some things about this that I might not. You can tell it what angle the camera to be at. You can tell it what kind of background. I mean, anything and everything that you've ever wanted to put into a video, you can storyboard and it will create it. It does not cost you anything, but they only do certain sizes. So if you notice up here, it's a 480p, not a big one, but if you were taking a portion of, let's say, your website. So, for example, I'll use yours if you don't mind. If you wanted to have a little video off to the right over here next to a box, like you see oftentimes, that's a great way to use something smaller that you could storytell with. So I wanted to make sure you all knew about this tool. And if you are within your chat GPT, you'll notice it's going to be right over here on the left side and you just go right into Sora. The other thing you can do with Sora is you can, just like with ChatGPT, you can upload media. So you'll see that, I've been working on something with the client who's in the outdoor space. So I've been uploading images. I uploaded one of my clients who's in the moving business, and see, it's not smart enough. So this was the picture, and I asked it if it could animate the picture, and it did not do a good job. It put them like right off to the side there. But this one actually did not come off too incorrectly, but it's just like little things that, it's just not 100% smart yet, but it's getting there. All right, so last item, I just wanted to kind of put this all together for you, at least from a marketing perspective, is what I often do is recommend that you can kind of upload, if you're going to use projects, mix of your own documentation, and then you could literally start. So this was one I did for Mother's Day where I told it the story I wanted to tell, and then I asked it to create the image. So that's the image that it created. And I do want to bring this up because by default, it always makes white people. It always puts women on the left side and not the right. So if you are going to, yeah, I saw your face. It's really interesting. You do need to tell it. So I've had this happen so much when I'm doing engagement ring visuals because, we always want the woman on the right because of the ring. But little things like that. So I do want to make sure that you do have to tell it what type of people, if you're going to generate anything with people, you want to make sure you're being very clear about, age, ethnicity, just all the things that you want to make sure it's doing correctly. Okay. All right. And then what I did with this is, I told it the story. I asked it to create the image because I couldn't find something like this on stock photography. And then I had it write a whole Mother's Day blog around that. And so it took me soup to nuts 30 minutes to create a blog, an e-blast, an image, all in ChatGPT. So I think I did okay. Did I do okay? Did we learn a
Very
lot?
good. Just, I'm blown away. It's great. Yeah. I learned a lot.
Excellent. How about the ladies? We good? We're going to take these and do your exercises after.
Yes, immediately.
Awesome.
Thank you.
If you have follow-up questions, do feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to answer them. And just remember, these tools are evolving. So each week they're dropping new things over and over. So definitely just, keep an eye on that. That's one of the benefits of picking a platform that's paid. Congratulations.
Wow.
How many more classes do you all have?
2 more.
Okay, almost done.
Yep. We have a break in July and then we're back at it in August.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anyone needs anything, let me know. Have a great rest of your week.